us to the playoffs last year, second round. You got to bring back continuity. What do you see in this camp and these guys going forward?
Yeah, internal development. I think that's what, not quote unquote not making any moves, really showed out your back. I think we believe in our group. I believe in us. That's why we signed here. And I think for us, now it's on us to go out there and execute. All the talk is over with, wherever we can be, but we're at that point now. We got to go out there and prove it. And you're seeing the steps. It's not all going to come together in this camp, and you got to continue to build, especially when you have a new coaching staff. You got to figure these things out. But what better way to figure it out with a group that's been together for two straight years, and for most of the core, it's been together for longer than that. So it's I'm excited for what we got.
Whether it was the big cat move or PG to Philly or some of the other moves around the Eastern Conference, what's your reaction to those?
I mean, teams feel like they need to do whatever to get, to that next step. For us, that was what they decided to do. And for us, we believe in ourselves. There's always going to be that big blockbuster trade. There's always going to be something. I got traded 3 weeks before camp. You look at Cat, you look at Dane, there's always going to be something. But for us, at the end of the day, those trades can happen. But we focus on what we have here. We believe in our group. So that's our answer, is to keep believing ourselves. So now we did that. They did that. Now we all got to go out there and execute. We got to go prove ourselves. Philly does. New York does. Everybody has to go out there and prove it again and again. And that's our focus.
What specifically is Kenny stressing in this training camp?
Ball movement, continuously pushing the pace, obviously getting shots up and threes up. But I think the biggest thing is pace. Playing, amongst each other. Getting used to the concept as opposed to just boggle down and running plays. And it's been good, but there's also been some times we got to figure it out, but that's what this is for. Especially when you have a two big lineup, constant movement, just getting used to it and acquainted to it. I think that's something that, you've seen the steps in just 4 days that we've been here. It's been good.
I know you've known Ty Jerome for a very, very long time. Did you have an idea, Donovan, of everything that he was going through last year, and what's it like to see him, impressing in training camp the way that a lot of guys have said he is?
You look at his run. I've known him my whole life, like you said. But you look at his run at Virginia. He had the hip or the back, whatever it was, and he's player of the year, whatever it was in college. Like that, you don't just get that and then need hip surgery or back surgery. You saw what kind of competitor and competitor he is. I've seen him my whole life. But to see, obviously. He wishes he was out there. We're sitting next to each other in the locker room, so we talk all the time. And I understand what he was going through last year. And it's tough. It's not easy. I was hurt and I was out to sit there and watch when you feel like you kind of help out. And, he's been a really great teammate. He's been a guy that's leading the bench unit. So it's been great to see. And now we're going to continue to build upon it.
Yesterday, I had to talk about how Kenny Walker it's focus. Is this something you've noticed as well?
Yeah, it reminds me of my time in Utah. I want to say it's nothing new. To me, I think it's something that, whether it's threes, the different scenarios where you want, points per possession, all those different things. I'm not a big analytics guy as far as like knowing about it, but I'm always intrigued about how we can find a way to, get the most out of our group. To see that and to have that, can we bring that into our group and our system? I'm excited for it. I'm excited to learn more myself just because, at the end of the day, there's so much more to learn about this game. And I think it's helping everybody figure out, ways to improve individually and kind of ultimately help the collective.
I just talked about how Kenny talked about cutting more. Is there an area that he talked to you about besides that?
For me specifically?
Yeah.
Moving off the ball, getting to the corners, sprinting my behind to the corners, creating space. The gravity that I have, creating that space, I think is huge. But also when you add in the aggression, and I've talked about just the aggression of Evan, who's getting the ball and dominating the ball. Now it's like, all right, I can get to the corner, give him space. Now you got to make a decision. He's coming up the floor. Ev's so talented. You stop Ev. Ev gets stopped and move on to the next read. But like being able to space the floor in that regard is something that we've talked about continuously. And obviously my own individual, knock down threes, getting into the paint creating. That's the easy stuff. But getting into being intentional with my spacing and then opening up the floor for everybody.
You brought up Evan. What specifically have you seen from him?
And aggression. For me, September and October is not about the makes and misses. He's made shots, don't get me wrong, but I couldn't care if he missed all the shots. There's just a level of aggression that you see with Evan. And that's what I like, being able to, he takes a bump. It's not, I'm going to the next play. It's like, takes a bump, I bet. Reset, kind of get to an attack mode and not just putting your head down and scoring, but being aggressive as far as getting to the paint and creating. Something that I don't say we haven't seen, but we saw it in spurts, but now it's a continuous thing. Since the day I saw him when we had team camp in New York. It's been consistent. Now the biggest thing is we're doing it now. do it again and again and again. And that's something that I've talked to Ev about multiple times throughout the season. I've challenged him on it. You know what I mean? I think the biggest thing now is season that year where it's like, all right, come on. Like, you know, and I think he feels that and understands that. And, you know, I'm excited for him.
How much do you feel yourself challenging Evan?
Oh, I make it a point, you know, to be honest, just because I think he understands, but I understand how important he's gonna be to our success. You know, we have myself, Darius, J.A., Karis, everybody, Max, but like Evans, you know, that's a position that we really haven't unlocked, and I think that's something that, you know, he's starting to understand, starting to mature in this game and figure out. And it's not all gonna just happen right away. There's gonna be success, there's gonna be failures in that process, but that's what this is for: continuing to build and continue to learn, and that's what internal development is.
That's well prepare for that Pennsylvania team that long Brian. How beneficial is this experience? Having to be together and being away from Ohio because the season's long and those dog days in the season will come. You feel that being here will be a beneficial part of the season that you all want?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's just one of those moments, like even coming to camp early. You know, that's why I made it a point for the group to come to Cleveland a month early, just because you spend that time, you build that chemistry, and we already have chemistry, but you know, just be able to learn these habits, build these on the court habits, and then coming down here. And now it's off the court. We have great 3 days of practice. We're playing Xbox for 4 hours straight. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, just continuing. Those are the moments you want to curate, especially early. You know, because like you said, when we get to those dog days, I need to know that we can have each other's back. I need to have that trust. This is a great idea. I've done this in my time in Utah. You know, so be able to come down here as a group, be together. You know, it's a sacrifice, obviously, being away from families, but like that's what you need in order to continue to be the best.
That has become a home for you. So what is it about the stadium team that makes you commit to staying here long term?
It's a feeling. I feel like first and foremost, I think, you know, when you go somewhere, and I think we all can speak to this, you know, when you have a home, you feel like you can relax, you feel at peace. Obviously on the floor, I mean, it speaks for itself. The trust, you know, the continued growth that we have on the floor, the success we've had, even the failures bring you like this closer to as a group. But as a city, as a team, as an organization, you just feel like someplace where you need to be, and where I want to be. And I feel like that's something that was really stuck out to me. It's just a feeling, you know, it's one of those things that you can describe, but I think we all know what that feeling is when you feel like something is home. And, you know, it was a no-brainer for me.
This, you guys put the split action in that?
Yeah.
That split is what separated Golden State from everybody.
Yeah.
And I just wonder what you think you'll be able to do off that action.
I think it's just a lot of indecision. You know, you got Ev, you know, even J.A., Ev at the elbow, those guys at the elbow. You know, if you want to overplay myself, Darius, Max, Karis, Dean, whoever, Sam, you know, now it's like, all right, you overplay that. Now it's an elbow one-on-one matchup. You know what I mean? With those guys continuously being aggressive. And that's what I mean when I say Ev continually being aggressive. Now it's like, all right, instead of looking to be passive, now that's a scoring threat. They got to react to that. Now they double us on the handoff. Ev in the pocket making plays, or Jay's in the pocket making plays. So that's the biggest thing. And like I said, it's early. We're just introducing all this, but you know, we got a group that's continuing to build and continuing to learn.
With this, you know, being kind of more free to do more stuff, step up screens, things for you. Are there things that you're like,
For me, or like I'm setting for
you're set?
Yeah. I think I try not to have it as me as much, just because typically I have the better defender on me. But you know, if DG's at the one, he has a smaller defender, so you kind of have him setting those, creating those indecisions. I'm playing on the wing using my gravity, and even if I do have a guy in that situation, I'm slipping out, I'm setting, or it's a handoff, and we're playing a 2-man game. And then Evan and Max have a phenomenal 2-man game that, you know, I think we can really develop more. Yeah. You know, and then obviously 2-man game myself and J.A. has been, you know, really good since I've been here. So just doubling down on that. But, you know, with Evan, there's a lot that's unlocked. I know we've all talked about it and spoke about it, but we all feel it and we see it. And, you know, as we continue to go to the regular season, I think you'll see it more and more.
Yesterday, Sam said that obviously you guys are learning from the new staff, but they're also learning from you.
Yeah.
Do you find that to be the case?
Yeah, I think, you know, especially on the defensive side, you know, we have a team that, you know, really boggled down defensively, made it tough on teams on a night-to-night basis. And I think that's first and foremost, you know, where it starts, obviously. Whether it's getting back in transition, you know, creating that wall, sending them to the bigs, helping our bigs. Those are the things that really going to take us to that next level. And I think, you know, that's what being, you know, the staff that we have, that makes them unique, I think, for us, just to continue to learn from them, but learn from us. That makes us that special. That builds trust, that builds that chemistry. And you're seeing that with what we have.
One of the only new guys in camp is a failing rookie, but you've been your impression.
He's been phenomenal. I didn't know much about his game. I have a group chat with one of my friends, and he was telling me like, yo, he's somebody to watch out for. I make the joke that he DM'd me in like February last year, and then I responded back, and he didn't say anything back to me. So that was my first impression. It just left me on red, but it's all good. That's my guy, man. He's been phenomenal. I think I saw him say something about him being like Caleb Martin and Josh Hart. Like the way he's playing, man, it's exactly that. Little things, cutting, setting screens, stuff that I don't necessarily see out of college players. Coming right out of college. Not necessarily looking for his shot or always dominating the ball, doing winning plays, and that's what's going to get him out there on the floor. And I got a lot of respect for that. He does whatever it takes, but he's been phenomenal out the gate.
Ethan, I'm sorry. Ethan.
Donovan, it's well documented that your new partnership with Prisoner Wine Company. Can you talk a little bit about why that was a situation that you felt like now was the time to be able to do that?
Yeah. I mean, first and foremost, when I partner with a brand, it's something that aligns with my beliefs, something that's near and dear to me. I'm a big believer in education. It's in the name Prisoner. They donate, and help fund, prison reform and education in prison, being able to teach. I think that's something that was near and dear to me. And I think now is the perfect time just because, to be honest, the past 3 years, there's been a lot of helter-skelter. There's been a lot of off-the-season stuff. And I think now, I've kind of had this off-season where I'm just being able to sit with myself. I keep talking about it all the time, but like I know where I'm going to be. I don't think people understand the importance of that. And now you kind of be able to just live your life and have an understanding of what's going on and being able to take, I don't want to say grow up because I'm not a child, but like, take your partnerships to another level. And with a brand like that, that emphasizes, like I said, prison reform and education, that speaks to me and what I'm about. But it also makes fantastic wine, which I probably have a glass of tonight. So I'm excited to continue to build on it. But yeah, this was the summer for it. And I look to continue to do it each year.
Obviously, you created your own wine and all of those things, but how do you envision contributing to the company's strategic goals as well as just growing your brand with their representation as well?
Yeah, I think it starts with obviously, the donations, the monetary, but I think the biggest thing is time. Being able to take my next step. All right, we're giving money, we're bringing awareness, but now I'm a big believer in showing up. I'm a big believer in being there and being face to face, so if that's necessarily going, to certain prisons and talking about education, going to Prisoner Wine and continue, like you said, to make my own wine, which I don't know how good it is yet. I'll leave that for y'all and I'll probably bring it around for everybody to try. I think it's fantastic. So make sure you guys go get it when it comes out. But I think for me, just being able to show up and be there in person, that's what's, important to me. You can give all the money in the world, but I think the most important thing is my time, my presence. Especially in something that you believe, especially when it comes to education. I think that's something that in this world that we can definitely improve on and continue to help pay our teachers because they definitely deserve that. And our youth deserves that.
Nathan.
Hey, Donovan, this team last season ranked top 25 in pace. I'm just curious on the attention to detail and how it differentiated from, previous years in the training camp. And just with the WNBA, as far as just the expansions from, Portland and San Francisco, do you think the city of Cleveland should bring back the WNBA's women's team as well?
I'll answer the last question first. I didn't hear the first one. I think Cleveland definitely deserves a WNBA team. Big time for Portland and San Francisco to add one, but I think that Cleveland definitely deserves one. It's a perfect sports city for it. I think the WNBA is at an all-time high, and I love the competition that's, going around. Like this has been, it's been this way for a while. I think people are now starting to finally pay attention. It's been great basketball. I think now it's finally starting to, become more national. I don't know the NBA. I feel like us as players, we've been there. I know we've been there from the jump. You know what I mean? Continuing, it's great that the world is starting to finally see what we all see. But I think as far as expansion, I think Cleveland definitely deserves a team. I would love to be a part of that for sure if that ever happens. And then I didn't hear your first question as much. I heard you say we're top 25 in pace.
Yeah, you were top 20. Yeah, you were top. The team last season was top 25 in pace, and I just wanted to know about how does the attention to detail in this training camp differentiate from the past seasons in training camp with you as a player?
I think this is a lot more methodical. When you have the same group, It's not so much learning each other. It's more about learning the right ways to kind of get into these actions. When you know each other, I think it makes this easier to kind of have these conversations, to go out there and hold each other accountable, and then also make the mistakes together. I think it's something that really doesn't go understated when you have guys that really know what's going on, know each other, and we're learning a new system, learning different things. You can kind of, I know, all right, Ab drives left, this is what he sees. Right, wrong, or indifferent, this is what he sees. I could teach him, all right, but this is where it needs to be. And vice versa. You know, if I'm driving, I leave my feet, like, no, I need to be able to play off 2 feet, find Ab on the lob, find Max on the slide to the corner. Like, those are the things that we can talk about, communicate about. And when you have a group that knows each other, there's a tendencies and all those different things you recognize and you're able to correct.
Spencer, go ahead.
Hey, Don, you've touched a lot on Evan so far. Something he said on media day was that like his usage was going to spike. I think a lot of people that watch basketball kind of get a little confused because of the usage part. How do you think that him having the ball in his hands will affect the way that you and Darius operate off the ball and as well, and kind of mixing him in as a ball handler?
I think it allows us to kind of get to our spots and not have to necessarily dominate the ball. You know, I mean, I think that you look at, trying to think of an example. You look at a game like game 6 against Orlando. Like, you look at possessions now where, you know, necessarily having me bring the ball up. Now I'm getting to the corner, and then Jonathan Isaac has to make a decision if he's going to help on Evan on this switch or they're going to stay with me. You know, you look at a series where Boston, they're switching. Games 1, 2, and 3, they switch regardless. Orlando staying with me. Like, those are decisions that you're going to have to make. Putting teams in those kind of unpredictable situations when Evan has the ball. And same thing with Darius. You know, and now with Evan starting to be aggressive, now when they do switch, now you're making a play. And it's not always to go and score, but it's to kind of get into the paint the same way we have. And it's not going to be something that just clicks right away. You know, it's always going to be, you know, there's always learning lessons. You know, we've seen a lot of flashes of it. But like I said, this is really, I want to say his first time since I've known Ev since high school. And like, I've seen it in high school a little bit, but since he's dominating the ball coming down, being secure with it, making the right read and not just getting in there and making a play for himself, but creating for others. And he's been doing a really good job at that. But I think that as far as usage goes, there's so many different ways to get the ball than just dominating and being on the ball. And I think having him be a handler, be aggressive, and make plays, I think will help us as a group.
When you have guys, 3-4 guys on the floor at the same time who can handle the ball, how much more dangerous does that make you guys as a team?
I mean, it makes it extremely dangerous. It's kind of like a pick your poison. You know, you kind of find, do you help off me? Do you help off DG? Where do you help from? But like the biggest thing now is, now that we're dribbling the ball and handling the ball, we're making the right reads. We're in this system, and it's like, okay, this is what we're trying to get to and accomplish. I think the biggest thing in that and having those different handlers is being able to make the right decisions over and over and over again. And that's what this camp has been about. You know, like I said, right now, I'm not really tripping on the makes or misses. It's more about, you know, how do we get to our spots? The makes and misses are going to come. We work our behinds off every day to get our reps up. But right now it's, you know, getting into the corner, getting to the wing, getting to the dunker, spacing the floor, transition, running. You know what I mean? That's really what it's about. And I think we've done a great job, and we're going to continue to get better on it. Kevin.
Hey, Donovan, hope you're doing well. But Kenny has really preached that he's a proponent of playing with depth. He's even said going 10, 11 deep some nights, you know.
Sorry,
rotations.
You say depth and 10, 11 people? Is that what you said?
Yeah, about 10, 11 people deep is what Kenny's shooting for some nights. How huge is that for you guys, just so you know, you can stay fresh for the better part of the season, especially when the postseason starts?
Yeah, I mean, last 2 seasons, I can't speak for everybody, but I feel like myself, I've played the most minutes of my career. I think definitely being able to kind of not necessarily have a major dip in that, but being able to use our depth early on. So as the season progresses, we're fresh, like you said. That's a big piece. And we have the talent. You know, I mean, it's not like, you know, it's a drop off when one of us comes out. It's like we have a lot of guys that can play, that can go, which is really beneficial. And I think when you have a group that's willing to sacrifice for each other, you know, coming out the game, guys are going to, obviously everybody wants to be in for the full 48, but, you know, when you have a group of guys that know each other, respect each other, work for each other, and sacrifice for each other, when guys come out, you know, understanding that, you know, it's for a good reason, it's for a good cause, and, you know, be able to have each other's back, that makes that stuff easy, man, because, you know, everybody wants to be able to sit out there and play the entire 48 minutes. You know, I'm not going to say I'm going to be happy every time I come out, you know what I mean? But at the end of the day, when you have a group that's talented, that's what it's about. And that's what helps you win championships, being able to sacrifice for the next man. And, you know, I'm excited for that.
And since you guys have so much continuity and just chemistry already, does it make it easier to have those conversations, or maybe like the frustrations aren't like, like you said, you wanted to play the full 48, but like you're not happy if you come out at sometimes, but just knowing like, hey, these guys have your back and everyone has the same goal, the same mentality at the end of the day, that it just makes it easier just to kind of maybe swallow a little bit of that frustration and let it roll off your back.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, it starts with the conversations, and that's what bringing the same group back allowed you to have. You kind of skip a step essentially, because we already have that base covered. When you know each other, that's like a step. Even when I came to Cleveland the first time, like I had to get to know everybody. I had to get to know DG, JA, Lamar, Ev, like what I mean, Dean, like everybody. I think now we've had that covered. So when those now we're jumping to that sacrifice piece. Sacrifice is it's a hard conversation. It's a conversation that needs to be had, and when you have a guys that are willing to do that for each other, when you have a camp that we're having when we're here together, like you said, it may seem silly, but like playing Xbox for 4 hours together, like that builds a trust, that builds a, camaraderie that when that happens in a game, like, you trust that the next man, I trust that, Karras has my back. I trust that DG's there. Sam trusts Ty. Ty trusts Craig. Like, what I mean, it goes top to bottom. But like, at the end of the day, you have to be able to trust each other. We can't go anywhere if we don't trust. And I think we have a group that really does trust each other. And I think that's what helps bringing the same group back and get into it.
All right, anything else from this here? Donovan, please, the Bulls come by on Tuesday, it's preseason, but how do you look at that? Get out and run a few steps, like, what do you see on Tuesday?
Another team, thankfully. We've been playing against each other for a month already. But I think it's just it's a step. This has been step one, or step one was going to Cleveland early. Step two, coming here, continue to build, and this is part of step two. Like that's the biggest thing is building those habits. Everybody says it's the preseason. And like I said, preseason, we're not necessarily worried about, obviously we play every game to win, but we're playing the right way, playing to build these habits. And we see, a team on Tuesday that's, doing the same thing. But for us, we only worry about ourselves, continue to go out there and work on what we've been working on. And obviously it's great to go out there and compete against a different group and be able to hit somebody else as opposed to trying to hit Tristan and Evan all day.
Last one.
Man, so we played NCAA, we played 2K. I'm not gonna lie, we're probably split 50-50 on the wins and losses. But it's been fun. Like we just sit there and just play in the ballroom. It just reminds you of camp. Like, you go to camp like in a situation like this. Now we're back at the crib playing. Once I leave here, I'll probably shower and be playing until the Mets play at 4:00 tomorrow. So we'll see.
Did you know it was out when he swung?
I mean, I was at dinner. I will say no. No, I didn't. But I was at dinner. I screamed, fell out my chair. The restaurant thought that there was a roach because of the way that I screamed. It was just me and my two friends and everybody else in the restaurant looking at me crazy. So shout out to Pete for that. Pete, I appreciate it. I tweeted this, but this was one of the biggest wins of my life. I can't wait for Saturday. But we're gonna win it all this year. This is the year. I'm gonna believe it.
Oh, say it with your chest.
Yeah, it was a big year. It was a big year.
That was Cowboys. I didn't like we said it.
Yeah. I mean, I would love to. But we've also had a lot of injuries. You know what I'm saying? So I still believe. I'm always gonna believe. But if we get Devontae, if you see this, man, I know you love Aaron Rodgers. I know you love the Jets and all that, but like, why not? You know what I'm saying? Why not? That's my little pitch. I ain't got nothing to donate as far as the contract goes. I know you're not making what you should make. I've seen it on the stuff, but Jerry will take care of that. So please come down and it'd be great.